Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, we're going to continue talking about this Anthony Joshua fight with Andy Ruiz Jr. Hold on a second, let me take my hoodie off. Hold on. We're going to talk about this Anthony Joshua fight with Andy Ruiz because there's quite a lot to dissect. You know, a lot of people in the boxing world have had a lot to say since the fight took place. And one guy in particular who was extremely relevant in the heavyweight division who had something to say in regards to Anthony Joshua and how he fought in his performance against Andy Ruiz in the rematch was Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua's arch nemesis. So we're going to get into that because I got an article here on Boxing Scene. You know, Wilder's just going and he says that Joshua was on his bike, you know, that his mentality was to survive. So let's get into that. Here's what he said verbatim. He said, I quote, Joshua did what he had to do to get the win. He ran around the ring and was on his bike all day. Basically, he had Klitschko in camp, and he was a lot like Klitschko, that jab and grab hold method. That's all he did tonight. I'm not coming in after losing to this guy to just dance and grab and jab and hold. I'm going to show the world and convince them that I am the very best and that no one is close to me, especially with what's going on in the division right now. It's a time of proving who is the best. Joshua had many times he could have gone for the finish after he landed the right hand. When you land the right hand, you tackle the distance. When you land the punch, you know that you're in the exact position for the second time around. But he was so hesitant. Joshua's mentality was to survive the Klitschko method. The difference is my mentality is that of a beast, a warrior, a king, an emperor, all those things. If he calls himself a king, he's just the nicer side of it. This is a brutal sport and that's how I treat it. I ain't showing no love for anybody in the ring, end quote. So some very strong words there from Deontay Wilder. And listen, we've documented the Joshua Wilder negotiations pretty in depth here on True School Sports, you know, so we don't need to rehash the $50 million offer from Wilder. We don't need to hash out the AJ DAZN deal or any of that kind of stuff. We know what's happened there and why he's talking the way he's talking, but I think it's a bit excessive. I think it's very excessive actually to say to call him Klitschko, to say that he boxed like Klitschko. I'm gonna tell you why, because yes, it is true. Anthony Joshua did talk to Vladimir Klitschko. And if Deontay Wilder read the articles or watched True School Sports, he would have known that you know, that was more for dietary reasons. It wasn't from a boxing standpoint. He made the boxing adjustments in the gym to his team when he hired Angel Fernandez as a trainer, and that's why his style looks so differently when he fought Andy Ruiz. You can't call him. You can't say he boxed like Vlad Klitschko because, with the most respect due to Vladimir Klitschko isn't using the ring like that. Vladimir Klitschko isn't showing you different variations of the jab like that. Vladimir Klitschko is what he is. He's 1-2 hold. That's what he is, and an occasional left hook. That's what he is. That's what he always was throughout the course of his career. I mean, throughout the course of his title reign. And to call Anthony Joshua that is unfair because, and it's very disingenuous because of how versatile he was in this fight. You know, he showed the ability to land the jab to the stomach, the jab to the head, throwing an up jab, throwing a jab to the stomach, you know, mixing in the right hand, spinning off to his right, slipping on his inside and then throwing the right uppercut to the body, throwing a straight right hand to the body. There were so many different variations and dimensions he showed in this fight. And for Wilder or any boxing fan to sit here and downplay and discredit and piss all over the performance of Anthony Joshua is absolutely disrespectful to the sport of boxing. Like it's actually disrespectful to the sport of boxing. Because if you're going to disrespect how Anthony Joshua fought and say that he ran, he did this, that, and the third, then you got to say that, you know, Larry Holmes ran. And Larry Holmes, he was a disgrace to boxing for running all night. And I've seen people in the boxing world, like not just Wilder, but I've seen other people in the boxing world whose opinions I actually respect, say that Anthony Joshua ran, and I just don't see it that way. Now, if you wanted to make the argument and you wanted to say, you know, Brendan, Anthony Joshua, they got a ring for this fight that was a bit bigger than most. They got a massive ring, so Anthony Joshua was afforded the room to move. Then that'd be a more valid point. But to say he just ran because he's a runner and he sucks and things like that, it's very disgusting and disingenuous from a lot of boxing fans. And as it pertains to Wilder, I really feel like this is coming from a place of envy and hatred because it's no secret that when they were trying to get that fight done, that Deontay Wilder was the one who clearly ducked and avoided Anthony Joshua. I know I'm going to go in the comments of this video and I'm going to see a lot of people who are subscribed to me and watch my channel say that, oh, BT, you're such a Wilder hater, or that, Deontay Wilder did induct Anthony Joshua, and that Anthony Joshua turned on the 50 million and all this nonsense. Listen, I documented all that, but it's clear as day to anybody with half a brain who can read that Deontay Wilder ducked Anthony Joshua. It doesn't matter if you think Wilder would beat Joshua or if you think Joshua would beat Wilder. The fact of the matter is the reason the fight didn't happen was because of Wilder, and you gotta look at how things progress in the negotiations to validate that, and you also got to look at the resumes. They say if you want to judge a person, go by the history. Look at the history. This is the same Vladimir Klitschko, Deontay Wilder, who didn't want to fight Vladimir Klitschko. Shelly Finkel came out a couple of months after he won the heavyweight title and said, "Oh no, he's a kid. He has to grow into being a champion." So he wasn't in no rush to fight Vladimir Klitschko for undisputed. This is the same Deontay Wilder who, he could, the same Charles Martin Anthony Joshua beat. He could have fought him. He could have fought that same Charles Martin, knocked him out in a round, and became IBF champion, WBC and IBF champion. Did he do that? No, Joshua had to do that. So there was that. There was the Povetkin fight, Povetkin tests positive for this much of meldonium, and then gets vindicated in a New York State court, and now all of a sudden, he's a cheater. I'm not gonna go over there. So then, there's that. And the list goes on and on. I mean, he could have fought Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker showed up to Deontay Wilder's fight with Gerald Washington ringside, and there was a video with them on the Boxing Voice. He wanted to make the fight. That fight never happened. Joshua had to fight Joseph Parker. So when we look at the track record of Anthony Joshua, when we look at the track record of Deontay Wilder, and we look at how the negotiations progressed, we know that Deontay Wilder clearly ducked, ducked, and avoided the fight with Anthony Joshua. And this statement here is coming from a place of hatred and envy. Now, let me say this about Anthony Joshua. I'm going to give him one of the best compliments I'll ever receive in his boxing career. I didn't think he could fight like this. I didn't think he had these kind of skills this deep in his toolbox. But he showed that he did when it mattered most. And I was telling my boy Jasper, my friend Jasper, who I'm staying with here in the UK, shout out to Jasper. I was telling him that Anthony Joshua, his performance in this fight and the way he decided to box, he looked very, very much like Larry Holmes. I mean, he looked like the English version of Larry Holmes. The way he was moving, the way he was probing with the jab, using the left hand, mixing in the right hand off the left hand, stepping to the right. It was such an amazing performance, and it reminded me a lot of Larry Holmes type of fights, like when Larry Holmes fought Leon Spinks, the way he was moving was very reminiscent of that particular fight to me, if you want to be specific. So, and what's funny is I went ahead and I watched Anthony Joshua's interviews on Sky Sports, and he actually said that he studied a lot of Larry Holmes for this fight. So I was actually, I knew what I was looking at, and Joshua, that's who he was studying in preparation for this fight. So, I think he's not a finished article. Like I said in my last video, he's not a finished article. He's going to keep growing. He's going to keep getting better. And that could mean that Deontay Wilder is screwed. That could mean that he's screwed because, like I said in previous videos, if you go back and you fact check me and you do your history, I always said the longer Anthony Joshua, or the longer Deontay Wilder waits to fight this guy, the worse it's going to get for him. The worse it's going to get for him. And, he had a blip on the radar screen. He lost to Andy Ruiz. Went through some adversity that forced him to take a good, long, hard look in the mirror, and the problems, the weaknesses, and the things that were being papered over and being overlooked when he was champion, when he was beating Carlos Takam and Povetkin and Parker and these guys, those weaknesses and those deficiencies, I'm not going to say they've been fine-tuned or they've been fixed, but they damn sure were not there in the Andy Ruiz fight. And he looked like a much different fighter. And I don't think that's down. I'm not gonna. That's not just down to Andy Ruiz. That's down to the adjustments Joshua made and how he fought. And we need to give him his credit. So this guy's pissed off because, it's funny he says that he had Klitschko in camp, but he fails to mention that he was a guy that when he was a young fighter, I'm talking about Deontay Wilder. When he was a young fighter, he was in Klitschko camp all the time. Vladimir Klitschko had him and tons of other heavyweights in camp all the time. But now he's upset because Anthony Joshua is getting dietary freaking information from Vladimir Klitschko. So I think Wilder's very jealous of AJ, and I think he's very desperate to receive that mass appeal and that validation from the boxing world at large, because of the fact that he's been in America, he's got 9 title defenses, and the fact of the matter is, as good as he is, as entertaining as he is, and I give him his credit as a fighter, I'm not one of these people that says Deontay Wilder sucks or can't fight, or he only has 40 knockouts because he fought bums. I give him his due. I recognize him as the hardest puncher in heavyweight history. I look at him as a guy that I think with a quality win or two more, he's probably gonna punch a ticket to the Boxing Hall of Fame, whether you guys like it or not. He'll probably punch a ticket to the Boxing Hall of Fame. So I recognize him as a fantastic fighter, but until he beats Tyson Fury, and even if he beats Tyson Fury, when he beats Tyson Fury, the fact of the matter is he's going to be judged on if he fights Anthony Joshua or not. I'll tell you this: from my perspective, if he beats Tyson Fury, to me he's the best heavyweight in the world, no doubt about it. Because to me, Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight in the world. But at large, even if he stops Tyson Fury in 3 rounds and gets the respect from people, he will be ultimately judged on how he handles approaching the Anthony Joshua fight. Will he take it? Will he duck? Will he use these BS excuses he's been using for damn near a year and a half, 2 years now? That's what people are gonna judge him on. So I wish Wilder the best. I hope he makes these fights with Joshua. But right now, the way he's talking, he sounds very jealous. He sounds like a bitter, hurt, jealous fighter. So that's the news. Deontay the Bronze-Bomber Wilder pissed off at Joshua. He says that his mentality was to survive, even though he won damn near 10 rounds, 11 rounds, and put on a boxing masterclass. Something that Deontay Wilder doesn't know anything about doing. Because yes, to his credit, Wilder knocks people out. He brings the pain. So we respect him for that. But he's mad at Joshua because he'll never, and let me say this again, he will never in his life put on that kind of masterclass against an opponent like Andy Ruiz, because he can't. It's not in his toolbox, you know. So continue to hate Deontay Wilder, continue to hate Wilder fanboys, but it's looking like Anthony Joshua is back. It's looking like he's gonna be a factor in the division, and it looks like, you know, for the rest of the division that he's gonna be a big problem, because not only is he back, but he's improving, he's fine tuning, and he's hungrier. And that's probably, I would say, that's probably the most worrying sign for the rest of the division, is that Anthony Joshua is hungry again, because an hungry Anthony Joshua is a dangerous Anthony Joshua. He's an Anthony Joshua who is pissed off for greatness. And right now, I think Anthony Joshua is a fighter. He's a man that's pissed off for greatness in that boxing ring. So he's going to make the adjustments. He's going to continue to improve. And he will be a big problem for anybody they put in front of him in this heavyweight division. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you make of Deontay Wilder's comments about saying Anthony Joshua was on his bike and that his mentality was to survive and that he fought like Klitschko? You know, let me know in the comments. Take the time to subscribe. Like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me. I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.